the Black Feather Intuitive, and welcome to Divinely Decked Tarot and Oracle Reviews done Stacy style. And today is day 4 of 5 VRs in 5 days, the tarot tag, and really excited about today's selection. This is, of course, an homage to Tammy Pye, and today to the Somatic Sorceress for the prompt for today, which is pivotal decks. And of course, it's like on cue. Mr. Neo has to show up and show his butt. So anyway, today we are going to be exploring pivotal decks. And the first prompt is a pivotal tarot deck. A deck that changed the way you think and feel about the tarot. What deck helped advance your understanding of the tarot? And I could have chosen a couple of these. And in fact, I just did another video a couple of weeks back that talked about, like one of the decks that I could have chosen here was the Osho Zen Tarot, because that was really the first deck that helped me to understand that I could break away from tarot from the left brain approach and really tap into it intuitively. But today I decided to take the approach of when my tarot practice really started to advance and when my true love and, quite frankly, obsession with tarot kind of took effect. And that is the Star Tarot from Kathleen McClelland. Now, I have featured this on my channel in other readings as well, but the story goes that in 2020 or 2021, actually, I think it was 2021, when we were still kind of in lockdown or coming out of a lockdown situation and trying to reacclimate to, oh my God, like I have to people and, humanity is never the same. And we're trying to kind of rebirth and reinvent ourselves. I took a 6-month tarot course with a guy named Jeff Henshaw. He's fantastic. And it was a really in-depth tarot study. And it was a group event. And so for this course, I went and bought a new deck, a deck that didn't have any energy, on it for me, and something that also kind of stretched me outside the box. And that was the Star Tarot. So, it's a larger cardstock than the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith. It's kind of a sateen finish, a little bit matte, catches a little bit of shine. But let's just kind of take a look here. I fell in love with this deck. And I think part of it was because we were doing sort of a deeper study. Every week was an exploration of the Fool's journey. So we didn't go through like the minor arcanas. We were really focused on the major arcana. But in that process, he still addressed some of the minor arcana in relation to these cards. So it really was a powerful experience. And I was really drawn. I'm such a color person, so I was really drawn to the colors in this deck. I loved that. I tend to go for like darker decks, black decks. This is a navy blue and a midnight blue. It's a busy deck, but not so busy that it sets off my ADD and I can't function. And it's just got such a warmth to it. When we look at this card, we're seeing her. It's almost like she's not like in the Garden of Eden, but she's definitely in a garden of abundance, a garden of plenty. You've got 2 different types of fruit trees here. You've got, growing, fields. There's wheat here. There's rolling hills, which implies that there's a lot more land there than what we're just witnessing. She's got water in the front with lily pads and lotuses. There's a beautiful swan. I'm always drawn to the swan. I equate this swan to starseed, and I identify as a starseed. There's a smaller version of herself, or, a fairy-like entity here. So she's open and welcoming to all. She's got, birds represented, wisdom represented. She's got the creatures, we've got the deer. This is the rebirth flower, the lily, symbolizing resurrection. There's just so much, in this card, and it's absolutely beautiful. The Ace of Cups, very powerful. I love the rainbow in it here, indicating, the 10 of Cups when you go through the 0 through 10 or the 1 through 10. At the end, you get a rainbow. It's not often that it also shows at the beginning. And I like that she used that. And then it's a lotus, right? Like, I always see this as the love cup that we all have within us. My love cup is full and overflowing is always the goal. If your love cup is not full and overflowing, you're missing out on something. Okay, don't mess with the camera. Thank you so much. So I just really love this. This one shows like the path to ascension, connecting to, the lotus flower that grows out of the muck and the mire, the frustration. The lotus flower is the diamond of flowers, right? It's the gem world is a diamond, and the flower world is the lotus, right? Because or like in the ocean, it's the pearl. It's the friction, it's the tension that allows it to grow its beauty. So just loving all of the imagery and the symbolism, the use of color here. 5 of Wands. Typically we see, 5 people that are, in training, or there's frustration or something. Here he or she, they are holding lilies. So there's the impression here of there's a rebirth that's happening. The wands are all around this individual. He's standing in lava. He's ready to be reborn, to be rebuilt in many ways. There's a volcano behind him. I mean, it's such a deep, deep deck. And if we're talking about pivotal decks, what helped advance my understanding of tarot, not only was it the class and the guiding through it, but it was also the fact that in between classes, we would have the opportunity to do some different studies and card pulls and things to get to know the deck and what it means for us. And so it was, quite frankly, I mean, this is going to sound a little cheesy, but I mean, I guess I'm in the right community for this. Is it was life changing, and it was at a time when I was extremely, extremely depressed, but did not recognize that it was depression. I kept saying, I feel depressed without actually being depressed because I have nothing to be depressed about. Everything is going okay. No, it wasn't, and I was depressed, and it was a struggle. And this class gave me something to look forward to, because I was really stuck in the doldrums of get up, it's effort to get out of bed and take a shower, sit down, work with clients, and then I'd have nothing left at the end of the day, and so I would just, eat and then watch some TV and go back to bed and do it all over again the next day. Very Groundhog Day. And so, this class gave me something to look forward to and something to put a focus to, because I'll commit if I have to be accountable to somebody else. I don't ever want to let anyone down. So, knowing that there was homework, and that's the A-type in me too, you gotta A+ it. You gotta do the work. And so, yeah, this changed. It changed me. It was life changing, and it also changed my approach to tarot. After this class and after this deck whet my appetite for branching out and trying some different tarot styles. And it also, believe it or not, opened up a pathway for me to go back into the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith tarot decks, because I had, really kind of fallen away from those, because when I was first trying to learn, the images didn't resonate with me. It didn't make sense to me. And after this deck, I feel like this deck gave me a lot of confidence that I started to try some of the, the original RWS, and found a lot of confidence in that as well, because I understood, right? Like now I really got it. So yeah, this deck is near and dear to my heart, and I don't always pull it out. I've retired the Osho Zen deck for myself because it's connected to a different time, a different version of me. I haven't like officially retired this. I'll pull it out every once in a while. But I keep it in my tarot box, which is where my most treasured decks reside. And that says a lot. Okay, so the next prompt is the Pivotal Oracle, an oracle deck that changed the way you think and feel about oracles. What deck helped advance your understanding of what oracles can do for your practice? So I was going to choose the Isis Oracle, but then I really thought about, no, let's go a little deeper. Isis Oracle is very much like a me thing. Like it's definitely a me deck. Like it speaks my soul. But if we're talking about what kind of changed your practice or advanced your practice, these are the two for sure that have done that. And so we're going to start with the Oracle of Visions, Ciro Marchetti. This was at a time when I started to gain confidence in my tarot practice. This is way before the Star Tarot. So I was just kind of in that, oh my God, I can read tarot and this is incredible. And I'm reading for clients and I'm, getting a lot of information. And so I started to really branch out and I was looking for card images that really spoke to me, right? And that is definitely this Oracle of Visions from Ciro Marchetti. I got this before I got the Tarot of Dreams, Ciro Marchetti Tarot of Dreams that I used for years with clients. This was actually my very first Ciro Marchetti deck. And of course, it comes with a book. It's all in English. I don't know if he has an Italian version, a Spanish version, how that works, but this is all in English. I use it sometimes on occasion, but what really advanced me and what I really fell in love with these cards, first of all, they're just so fun. Second of all, I spent a summer in Europe, but specifically in Italy, primarily in Rome. And then I went to Verona and then I traveled around and I spent some time in Venice. So definitely very connected to Italian culture and all of that kind of stuff. And so this is very like Venetian, right? So there's just a lot of that energy. So it's a lot of fun, but it has no words. It's just the picture. It's beautiful and bordered. This is a Lo Scarabeo, I believe. No, this is actually a US Games. I lied. This is a US Games. It's a larger oracle size, more along the lines of the size of a Blue Angel oracle card size. Little on the thinner side, which makes sense. It's a US Games card deck. And just like so much fun. But this tripped me up because with Oracle, for a long time, I preferred Oracle to Tarot for my own readings. I could always read for somebody else, but when it came to my own readings, I would get tripped up with Tarot. So Oracle was great because there were always keywords. There was always a very direct message with it. And here now I'm being challenged because there's no cheating here. But at the same time, this is a beautiful deck that has a lot to say. The story is pretty evident when you're looking at the images. Like we'll just take this for example. You've got the divine masculine and the divine feminine, or you can look at it as a young version of yourself, an older version of yourself, the two masks. So showing how the two can become one, or the two need to be integrated, or the two create a third, through their interactions, they create a third entity, right? So there's so much here that the number is 4. So 4 is foundation and its manifestation. So how does that lean in, to the different seasons? We've got spring and fall. This can always also talk about timings, like there's just so much, all the gold. And that's that's kind of a standard theme with the Ciro Marchetti, is the gold that's in everything. It's very Venetian. So very stylistic, but there's just so much that can be told. Let's take a look at this one. This is one of my favorites here too. 6, harmony, balance, and alignment. You have a beautiful rainbow. Everything is circular. This is, very water energy, psychic, but also she's in a yoga pose. I wish I could do that, by the way. My legs are not that flexible. I wish I could do that and that be fun. But she's in yoga pose, but she's in meditation. You could also say she's in rest. There's taking a little bit of rest. We've got these beautiful Japanese cherry blossoms that are here, indicating a bit of that exotic feel. Just looking at the cards, you feel like, oh, I just want to breathe, right? Mama and baby, the birthing of a new idea, the birthing of a new chapter of life, love, nurturing, support. I want to say accessing the teacher in you, accessing the student in you. This could also be seen as like this a soul contract card. Someone's the teacher, someone's the student, someone's the mama, someone's the baby. Futuristic stuff coming in. Interesting. This is a 5. I'm just pulling these at random. So we've had 4, 6, and 5. Just noting that. Loving the futuristic component. How often do you see, an ocean ship, a water ship flying? You don't, but it's indicating to you looking forward, looking to the future, imagining what can become, not getting so limited in what is, invite yourself into what can become. Here's another beautiful one. This reminds me of like the 4 of Swords energy, where she's being supported, she's being protected. So yeah, this card deck, I just have a lot of love for it, because it definitely was pivotal in understanding that I can use Oracle to not only enhance my tarot practice, but also it's another tool that, like, I don't have to use these things as crutches anymore. Like, this forces the intuition out of me. So it created a lot of trust, and confidence for me when working with this deck. The second one that fits into this category is, and this, I'm going to tell you right now, this could have actually fit into 3 categories for this Pivotal Oracle. This deck means a lot to me. So I do absolutely love Alana Fairchild. I have just about, like, not all of her decks, but pretty close. When this deck first came out, it actually frustrated me because I absolutely did not fully understand all of the card prompts. And it frustrated me just because the perfectionist in me, it's a Blue Angel deck, by the way. It frustrated me because I felt silly, stupid. I felt like, oh my God, there's something that I don't understand. And again, this came out around the time that I was, really in a depressive sort of state, but not aware of the depression yet, like still trying to fake it till I make it, and, be positive, and, be empowering, and, all the things and the stuff. And so it triggered a bit of a defeatist attitude with me. And then when I actually just kind of surrendered into it, I realized, oh, I've been asking to elevate my spiritual practice. And this is the deck that is, in essence, doing that. So, not reversible. It is definitely that Blue Angel cardstock. It's got kind of a matte finish, not rose petal, but close enough. So here, like Tantra of 639 hertz. I'm like, okay, I don't know what 639 hertz means, right? And so I got all like in my head about it, instead of saying, okay, well, let me go and research what the frequency of 639 is. And like, let me read the book, because that's one of the reasons that I adore Alana Fairchild's books, is that she writes a novel for every card. So it really is an opportunity to, it's like a master class in a deck. So I don't know why I was feeling so stubborn. I think it was just the chemical imbalance in the brain, but epsilon modulation. I'm like, okay, I don't really know what epsilon is. So now I'm going to have to research that. But the imagery is gorgeous. I love that all of it is in this, sort of off-white palette. There's not a lot of color here. There is a lot of, I want to say, animal energy, but also beings and entities that I'm not familiar with, right? So, Oracle of Chaldea, don't know who that is. So, learning about that. Spirit Owl of 852 hertz. Karma of Kutuhala. This is like a phoenix. So, it's a very different deck for me because it isn't full of color. Yeshet Sokayel, I actually know that, 333. But this deck challenged me. It challenged me to learn a little bit more about myself. I wouldn't say that this changed the way I work with oracles specifically, but what it did is it elevated my personal spiritual practice and brought me something that, like, and maybe you guys have experienced this at times too, where sometimes in the practice, things just kind of get a little dull, a little stale. No matter what else is going on, you can count on and rely on your card practice, to keep you going. And then every once in a while, it's like, nope, that's just not doing it for me. Or for whatever reason, I'm feeling a bit disconnected. Sometimes you just need to freshen up your decks, switch up the routine. Sometimes it goes a little deeper because you're in the middle of a phoenix, where your identity is shifting. This card deck, I want to say, was very transitional, very pivotal to a major transition that I was, going through, a major transformation that was taking place within me. And this card deck really spoke to that and gave me a lot of support in ways that I wasn't getting or wasn't feeling from anyone else. So yeah, this deck, I got a lot of love for this deck. And this is a deck that I do not read intuitively. I always connect with the guidebook because of that very reason. Like, okay, I just flipped open Tantra of 639. That was the first card that we pulled. So in her usual style, she provides like a brief little message. If you don't want to do the deeper dive, you just get the basic message. And then it's a little masterclass in what that's about. And then she always provides a beautiful healing process if you want to work on that, which is often a little meditation. So I always work with the guidebook with this as well. And, when I need a little checkup from the neck up, this is a great deck for me to sort of reconnect with. Okay, our third prompt is pivotal practice. A deck that took your card reading practice to another level or in another direction. How did this deck shift the way you work with the cards? Okay, so that is this bad boy, the Guiding Light Tarot. So this deck, I have featured it. I did a full review on my channel if you're interested in seeing that. This deck turned my entire tarot practice on its side. Like, blew my mind. I really, like, this deck is like nothing I, had ever imagined or thought of before. I didn't even know decks like this existed, quite frankly. It does come with a little guidebook. To be honest, I've used the guidebook maybe once or twice. Just a little note on the artist as well. I like that her sign is a Capricorn. She really built something. Just to use my basic astrology, she really built something unique with this deck. Her vision was powerful. So this is Debray Publishing. It is a standard size tarot deck. It's got a little bit of a shine to it. I'm not always a fan of the shine, but it is what it is. Really good quality cardstock. It is gilded on the side, which I love. Not really reversible, because you're gonna, if you see it upside down, it's gonna look a little bit different. But if you're not paying too much attention to it, you could definitely do it reversed. I don't read reversals, so that doesn't bother me at all. Let's just take a look at this. So 10 of Cups, and it's not a pip deck. Sometimes, actually I'm going to do it this way. Sometimes Um, I look at this card and I think this is like a pip deck hybrid, because there are really like weird figures and weird approaches to all of this stuff, but yet it really speaks to me. So you might notice like some of these things look a little pippish, but actually they're really not. They all are their own different imagery, but they build off of one another. So here's this 10 of cups, and you've got, beautiful coloring. It's just sort of like a hint of the pastel coloring. You've got these light cups that are feeding into one another, 5 and 5. There's a mirrored effect, and it's creating a bit of sacred geometry, a little bit of a web that we weave. 10 of cups is like the ideal outcome. So when you look at this image, where is the ideal outcome? Like, you have to really sit with it. You have to really allow the messages to come to you. And what I always see here is that there's such harmony and synergy in the cat's cradle. If you've ever played cat's cradle, there's a system to it. Like, you have to be really methodical and systematic about the approach in order to get the ideal outcome. Then you can play the game, and then it's really fun, right? But so easily you can get tangled up. So it's like, I feel like it's a kind of a take on, an ideal outcome does require a little bit of your effort. It is a co-creative experience, 150%. But there does need to be your participation in it. I don't know. There's just so many different ways to interpret these cards, and they're just very, very different from anything else that I have seen. Page of Cups. So what you'll notice in this deck as well is when you see figures in the deck, they're either cloaked in something or you're seeing them without skin. So you're seeing deeper into the layer of the body. I always like to say it's like that display that went around all of the famous museums of the world several years back, where you were seeing cadavers. It was showing bodies in the various parts of the body, the curiosity of what is on the inside of us. And I think it's a really interesting concept. And I'm going to say to you, like, it disturbs me. This deck disturbs me, but disturbs me in like a good way, right? So looking at this, I'm like, okay, I'm looking at the lungs. I'm looking at the heart. They're wearing something on their head, and you're seeing sort of a third eye activated here. You're not seeing a face, and they're wearing a cloak that has sound waves, or maybe this is water waves, however you want to interpret it. It's a Page of Cups. Well, where does our creativity come from, right? This is implying, maybe it comes from the heart, from the upper body area, receiving inspiration and then, acting it out, finding a pathway to be able to exude that creativity. Here's the 5 of Swords. So you're not with several people. You've got one person, and it looks like flames are coming in from his solar plexus. And that is affecting him a bit. The way his ears are, it kind of gives like maybe a little demonesque energy, maybe a little devilish energy. But the swords are very unique. And the focus of the sword, it almost looks like the hilt is like a star. So not what you would expect. When you're looking at this, you can get a hint of conflict, but the conflict feels like it's coming from within, not from without. Let's take a look here. 4 of Pentacles. So this is typically a card of greed, of protection, of lack and scarcity. And you're seeing his upper body, again, no skin, but you're seeing muscles. He's using his upper muscles to hang on, to this one pentacle. These other pentacles, maybe they're slipping away from him. Maybe they're being taken away. Maybe it's coming in and he's not realizing that, he doesn't have to hold on so tightly, because holding on so tightly stops the flow of what's coming in. 3 of Pentacles. So collaboration. And I feel like, again, we're seeing different muscle groups in his upper body being used. We are being shown a connection to the solar plexus chakra here. We're seeing a sort of a belly button area where things are being connected. Does this have anything to do with the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot, the meaning of the 3 of Pentacles? Not really sure. But when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, okay, there definitely is collaboration happening here with source. And there's effort being put in. There is a balance and a synergy that is coming into this space. And some of this is like pointing downwards. Maybe I need to grow into those lower chakras. Maybe I need to ground myself. There are so many different ways to interpret this. Seven of Wands. All of the Wands energy have all these little spiky helmets. So the Wands are spiky. And I feel like that's, to indicate flame, but also to indicate that flame can help and harm like anything else. Too much of a good thing is too much, right? Seven of Wands is a card of defense. Definitely looks kind of porcupine-ish. You would want to be really cautious how you approach this particular individual, and you certainly wouldn't be able to get very close. The Hierophant. So they're showing sort of like a cross in the center, the hint of a cross. You've got this figure. You don't even know if there's a being behind it. You're just assuming because it's shrouded in a cloak. But there's enlightenment pointing up, the ascension process up. Temperance. As above, so below. This is the alchemy card. And so you're looking at, there's two separate shades here. You've got enlightenment up here. You've got a little bit of enlightenment up here. It's just a little bit different. And there's, I want to say, either an air wave, an air sign, a sound wave that is dividing them. Or perhaps we could say, because it's blue, it might be connected to water frequency, seeing the reflection back and forth. So, you can interpret it in a number of different ways. Eight of Pentacles. I'll just show you a couple more. Five of Wands. You can see how it's kind of like a hybrid pip, because you have to really interpret like the way everything has been placed. This feels like a tic-tac-toe kind of board. Like there's a game being played here. There's some strategy, but it hasn't been completed yet. Five of Pentacles. So Five of Pentacles is a card of worry. You've got the one main pentacle that's being split into four. You've got all these other pentacles in various sizes that are either being sucked up or coming down, depending on how you view it. There's a lot of gray, a lot of sort of misty energy coming in. The High Priestess. She's the pillar, the two pillars herself, and there's a figure in between. There's a figure inside. Really just like opens your mind. This is very disturbing. The lion is so skinny. Like the lion is so skinny, needing to step into the light, needing to eat something, needing to stand up for itself, needing to embrace its truth in order to survive and thrive. Page of Swords. Interesting spiky hair. King of Wands. Here's a Six of Swords. And this is typically moving on to calmer shores. We are seeing sort of that blue energy. There's light at the point where it meets. So there's definitely, but like we're either heading up or we're breaking through and going down. It all depends on, what the question is, what you're feeling you need to interpret. The Judgment card here. Justice. Three of Wands. And we'll end here on the Magician. So yeah, this card deck, like, it's so funny because I picked it out because I was drawn to it, but I couldn't see any of the images. I really just picked it out based on intuition and on the cover and what I saw on the back. And I thought, you know what? Let's give it a whirl. I kind of like the energy that's coming off of this deck. And, this is, sure, if you guys have been following me at all, you know that this is really, like a far cry from the decks that I typically show on this channel and connect with. But that definitely was pivotal in changing my practice and changing my approach. Okay, now we are at the Pivotal Perception, a deck that changed the way you see yourself or your collection. How did this deck influence your identity and perhaps shift that identity? And for this one, I chose the Kali Oracle. And so, like, I apologize in advance. It's another Alana Fairchild oracle, but this was the one that really stood out to me. So it could have been a tarot deck. And when I was going through, this was the one that just kept standing out to me. So when we are talking about a deck that changes the way that I see myself, not my collection. I have some tarot decks that have changed the way I see my collection, but I went with the self energy, because every time I read this deck, so Kali and I have an interesting history. She started coming through to me, I want to say probably 4 or 5 years ago now. 5 years ago now. It's a Blue Angel Oracle deck. And she started coming through in certain sessions where I was doing a lot of healing work with clients. And her energy is so freaking intense. And the wording that would come out of my mouth was so, like, there's no other way to say it, but violent. Like, it was violent. It was words that I just don't really use them in my daily vocabulary. And like, the energy was like intense coming through me. I sweat like a pig when I channel her. And I was scared. I was just, quite frankly, scared at first. I didn't understand what was going on. But the feedback I was getting from clients with the healing was like, oh my God, that was incredible. And like, I really felt this or that. And then, like, not just the instant feedback, but like the weeks after and the months after feedback around it. And I was like, okay. And so I started to just really face my fear. I started to meditate with Kali. I started to channel her in automatic writing, because that's how I felt safe, kind of getting to know her. And now, like, we work together all the freaking time. So it doesn't surprise me with her intensity. But the book and the deck, when it came out, I was still in that space of trying to understand what was happening. And, you know, I'm not a violent person. And so to have these, you know, violent words coming out, and, you know, like the energy that would come through these healings, and, you know, she's a destroyer, right? Like, she dissolves and banishes and like eviscerates. That's a good word. She eviscerates stuff from the energetic field, from the physical field. You know, she's great that way. So this deck kind of changed how I saw myself as a healer. This deck influenced, like, she changed how I see myself as a healer, and this deck influenced a lot of that, because I had already started working with Kali probably for a couple of years before this deck came out, maybe a year and a half. And then when this deck came out, it was like, once again, Alana Fairchild, I find, can be like it's like a masterclass in a deck, right? Like, it's an opportunity to really learn some new things. So when I saw her writing this, I was like, yeah, I got to have this, because I'm going to learn about why Kali has chosen me. I'm going to learn about how I can really make the most of this relationship, this partnership that we're having. And so, once again, with Alana Fairchild, I do not read intuitively with this deck. I go right to the messages. I go right to the book to get the information. And every single time, this deck I pull when I'm doing like a deep dive spread, when there's something that's been coming up for me and I really need to understand. I remember at the beginning of this year, I was like, okay, I've done this big move. I'm feeling really good about the move. I'm happy about this, but why do I still feel dead inside with my creativity? Why do I still feel like I have no freaking idea who I am? You know, like, I've been in this space for a while now, guys. Like, get on with it. You know, like, I need something. I need something to believe in. I need something to keep me motivated. Like, right now, I'm just treading water. And I did I think it was an 8 or a 9 card spread that I created for myself, you know, the kind of customized it with those questions that I wanted to ask. And I am telling you, that spread, I still have it in my journal. I go back to it. I refer to it every once in a while when I need a course correction, or I need a reminder of why I'm doing what I'm doing, why some of these, you know, sort of situations in my life still keep kind of happening, you know, like one more time around the wheel. It's always less, it's always lighter, most of the time. It's lighter, but it's, it's still there. And this deck, Kali, gives me the answers. There's never any doubt after I do this. So yeah, I feel, as a healer, I feel so honored and privileged to be working with her. The fact that she is a destroyer goddess is still quite disturbing to me, but also like humbling, because, we all have been all things, in our incarnations. To all people, and yeah, I know, I'm not a destroyer in this life necessarily. I wouldn't say that that's how I'm wired, but do I have that, like, do I feel that that's like in there somewhere? Oh, hell yeah. So yeah, this deck really helps me to connect to my now self, my new self, to the healer. I do a lot of healing and clearing work with Kali, both with clients in their energetic fields. And I also work with Kali when I'm doing like house clearings, house blessings, land clearings, anything like that. So yeah, super pivotal. Okay, now we are at the fifth and final prompt, which actually has 4 sections to it. So pivotal recommendations. What decks would you recommend for transformation and growth across life's major domains? The first one is practical, a deck that works well for everyday pivots. And the one that I chose here is the Slow Tarot. And this is a fairly new deck to me. I've only had it for a few months, but I want to say to you, when, if I'm going to recommend something to someone, and you want to really understand what's going on in a dynamic right now in your everyday, this is the way to go. This is Lacey Bryant. It's an independent deck. She's an independent creator out of San Francisco. It's got a small book. I've never even bothered to open the book. I don't need it. What's really cool about this, I believe the story behind it is with the Slow Tarot, it took her a long time to build or to create this deck, because she went around to all the places in, I don't know if it was all of California or just all of San Francisco, and she looked at all of the artwork and different places to be able to create the artwork, to create the deck. So it took her a long time to get it created. I think it was 6 years. I don't know where I pulled that out of, but anyway, really powerful. It's on linen cardstock, absolutely beautiful. It is reversible if you like to read reversals. And like, let's just take a look. It's modernized, right? So we've got the High Priestess, and she's standing in between 2 sort of Sphinx energies, a black and a white statue. She's modern. She's wearing a nice modern dress. There are tree roots. There's a tree and tree roots that she is, I want to say, like beholden to right now. She's in bare feet. She's got a book. She's got her Torah that she's connecting with. She's doing a mudra with her hands. Her eyes are open, and she is, I want to say, channeling. She looks like she's in a bit of a trance. So, you can read it in the RWS style, but you can also really take it like at face value for what it is. So here we see the Emperor, and the Emperor is like, everything is burning. The sky is burning, and he's looking up. He's got blood-stained tears. So this would say to me, has he learned his lesson, that maybe the divine masculine approach that he took, his divine birthright, the power, maybe it was the wrong use of power? And is he finally learning the lesson? Is it time to rebuild? Or he's protecting, what he has built, and he's thanking source energy for protecting, helping him to protect what is there when the sky is burning. Page of Cups, beautiful boy swimming in the ocean, and he's caught a little goldfish, and he's happy as a clam, right? So the sun, she's giggling and smiling. And what I love the most about this sun card is that there's no sun in it. You just have the sunflowers. So it's the hint of the sun. I mean, there's like a little bit of sun in there. It's the hint of a sun, but it doesn't look like a particularly sunny day. She's focused here on the sunflowers, and you have the raven or the crow that maybe is trying to get her attention. Hey, there's something you need to pay attention to. Maybe the raven or crow is protecting her. Ravens and crows can be as above, so below. They can travel into the underworld and also, travel above, and everywhere in between and pass on messages. So just a lot that's going on here. I love this. 6 of Wands, championship. Yay, we won. We won. All of our hard work paid off. Yes, they're featuring one player here, but I feel like the whole team participated, right? It's lacrosse. 9 of Swords. So still that sort of nightmare energy. It's just a little bit more modernized. So, you can relate to this. Temperance. I love this. He's a waiter in a fancy restaurant. He's prepared a beautiful buffet, and he is now pouring the tea. It's the tea service. There's precision here. There's a care to what he's presenting. He cares about what he does. He has integrity around the presentation, and he has alchemized all of these items to create an ambiance, to create a beautiful presentation, of the food. The Hermit card. So, a guy wearing the pants and the hoodie, and he's got a modern sort of oil lamp. I would say maybe vintage oil lamp, but, and he's under the tree, and he's, out in nature doing his thing, meditating. 9 of Cups, an older woman sitting back, relaxing with her cat, really grateful for all of the cups that she's got, all of the memories that she holds. She's reading a book. She's content. Here we have the Strength card, a beautiful woman wearing a beautiful gown, and she's just loving up on her lion. There's just this inner child connection. The Magician. Here we have a Smarty Pants McGee who is working her magic. We've got the Ouroboros, so this is not her first rodeo. She knows what she's doing. She's working her hands and working all of the resources to create what it is that she needs. Here is the Ace of Swords. The aces in this deck are the only ones that are not labeled as aces. So, we have beautiful hummingbirds here. We've got a Chinese love knot or good luck knot on the edge of it. We've got the red, the white, and the pink. So I want to say that the red is the root chakra, the white is the crown chakra. So it features the beginning, the ending, and everything in between. And the pink is that heart chakra energy. 8 of Coins. We see this little ballerina. She's dancing. She's having so much fun. She's dancing for her dog. She's dancing for, her mom, let's say. Her dad is putting up what her mom has created. And she's excited because it's like her new bedroom, right? King of Coins, he's sitting in his lap of luxury. He's admiring his coins. He looks a little alone, but he also looks a little oblivious to the fact that he's alone. So, there's a lot that you can take from that. Here's the Star card. Another beautiful person who is, looking out at this storm. She's on a boat, or she's on a turret of some kind. She's using an old-fashioned compass. I forget what this is called. Actually, it's not a compass. It's something else. But, she's looking for the hope. She's looking for the stars. She's looking for the next direction on where to go. She doesn't look nervous. I want to say feels a little more like, I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to survive. I'm going to come out of this, come hell or high water, literally. King of Wands. The wand is coming out of his third eye. He's in a sort of a trance state, meditative state. There's topography here that he's reviewing. We've got some books. He's in it. He's in it to win it. He's committed. 4 of Cups. A little despondent, but there's someone behind that says, hey, I got something even better for you. All you have to do is just turn your head, and I'm here. So I just really love this deck I feel like it is quite practical because you can see yourself in the different scenarios that are presented. Psychological, a deck that supports profound inner reflections and growth. This one is the Angelarium, the Oracle of Emanations. This is a Los Scarabeo. This deck scares the fark out of me. And my friend and sort of mentor, she was a mentor a long time ago. Now we're just really good friends. She recommended this to me, and she's a Scorpio, so she loves all this dark shit. And she's like, "Oh my god, have you heard of the Angelarium?" And I was like, "No, oh my god, that sounds amazing." And like I bought it sight unseen because it was her recommendation. And when I got it, I was like, "Oh my god, like what have I done?" It freaked me right out. But what I absolutely love about it, so it's very Los Scarabeo in that it looks like a bigger deck than it, or bigger book than it actually is. It's 4 different languages. But it really focuses on the, I like to say the heavy hitter archangels. It is a shinier cardstock. It is kind of like that Blue Angel size of Oracle deck. It feels like, I want to say like a US Games kind of style. It's definitely reversible here. And it deals with a lot of sigils, a lot of the Kabbalah symbols as well. You're learning a lot about the different angels. Here's Chesed, and forgive my mispronunciations, right hand empathy. Very psychological, because these cards, the imagery on these cards is not for the faint of heart. The imagery on these cards, it can be a little scary, can be a little triggering for sure. Because it's a bit disturbing. So here we have, like a skeleton that is breaking apart. You're seeing right leg, endurance, Netza. Leliel, angel of night. But I also want to say to you, the reason why I'm putting this on the recommendation list for psychological is because if you really do want to do a deep dive for yourself, if you really, like, your goal is to understand that shadow side of yourself, the shadow parts of you, you want to understand why things are the way they are, and you also want to learn about the foundation of the spiritual, of where we've actually come from, this is going to be a really good deck to help you with that. Angel of Mysteries. So like, if it evokes a sense of fear in you, then go right into the fear, right? Because that fear is going to reveal itself to you. And let's just take, I love Raziel. So let's just see if we can read up on Raziel. I'm hoping that it's in alphabetical order. Yes, it is. Okay. So Raziel, angel of mysteries, the keeper, the speaker of truth. All knowledge is pressed within the binding of his book. Raziel stands at the foot of the tree of life and observes all of creation, ever the diligent witness, forever transcribing the whole of creation. The book is passed to Enoch through his journey into the tree of life. There are some things we simply cannot know. Such is the precious narrative of life. We can know the parts of the play, but not the story's end. Secrets and hidden endings keep the performance alight and dancing through the universe. Raziel, wrapped on high, our ever-present observer. We dream and fill Raziel's book of mysteries. Our breath turns its pages. Exhale. Signs, a book, a mask, and codes. So it gives you little Easter eggs. But like when you read that, you go, oh, okay, so what am I filling Raziel's book with today? What do I want to fill his book with today through my own experience? How do I want to explore what I'm going through in a way that, like, okay, I'm going to share this with Archangel Raziel and he's going to write it out. He's observing it and he's going to write out my experience. How do I want to participate in that and co-create in that? So it's really I want to say it's, I keep using the term masterclass, but it is in many ways, if you allow it. Here's Azrael, the angel of death. It's a masterclass. These are a masterclass in getting to know yourself from that spiritual level, but also that internal deep dive level to really understand yourself. Yeah, like, look at that. Like, that's scary. That is, I'm a sci-fi girl, and that is something that's more like out of a horror sci-fi. I don't like the horror sci-fi stuff. The angel of punishment. I mean, if that thing was coming at me, I would be very freaking scared. There's no doubt about that. Da'at, null. emptiness. What a great imagery to explore that, right? Where do you feel empty? Where do you feel neutral? There's an inverted pyramid that's coming down, right? Maybe to fill the void, fill the emptiness. Angel of rain, Matariel, headless. So just I would say the imagery here, and I recommend it because if you really do want to do a deep dive on a psychological level, this is the way to do it. And I'm going to show you one more deck that I actually just, it just popped into my head as I was showing you that, is the Into the Shadow Oracle. This is ripe avocado moon, I think. Ripe avocado witch. There we go. Mercy Morgana is the creator of this deck. And this is also, when we're talking about psychological, this is a gentler way to explore shadow work, to do the psychological stuff. There's a beautiful guidebook, and she also has a journal if you're interested. She gives you the message, and then she gives you journal prompts. And it really helps to get into the wounds, right? To get into the deep wounds. What is actually really triggering me at this time? So I'll just show you. These are absolutely gorgeous cards, by the way. She's in Canada. It's that beautiful rose petal finish. Super excellent card quality, cardstock, nice and thick. Check this out. Needs. Filling the emotional void. It's a pyramid with the stairs going up. You can go halfway into the pyramid, or you can continue up and go into the next portal. A lot of the galaxy, the galactic energy, cosmic energy. Where are your needs? Are your needs down, below on the earth? Are your needs up high? Are they somewhere in between? Desires, challenge limiting beliefs. I love that it's a shooting star. I can have different desires that I want. Oh, this one I love. Misspoken. Spoken words echo forever. Desired traits. Thoughts become reality. This deck, the Destroyer, fight for a good cause. This deck really helps you on a psychological level to get right to the heart of what is maybe stopping you, getting in your way, what is causing the pain, what is causing the disconnect. And it does it in such a way, agitated, breathe, search, remove. It does it in such a way that the imagery is beautiful. The imagery is palatable. Like, you can get into this, you can understand it all. You can receive the difficult messaging because the imagery is gentler, softer, but still packs a punch. Tolerance, seek peaceful coexistence. Worthy, believe in yourself. You're a puzzle piece that belongs to the whole part of the puzzle. You're meant to be here. Routine, turn off autopilot. Where in your life are you just phoning it in? Because now is the time to break out of routine. Be the smoke, dissipate a little bit, go somewhere else, go see something else, shift things up. Triggered, be mindful in your response. It's a checkup from the neck up. The Magician, dream the impossible. So this would be another deck that I would highly recommend to someone, a pivotal deck that can really take your self-awareness practice and self-awareness journey to completely new heights, new levels, where you start to really understand yourself or understand a particular issue that you're dealing with in a way that is beautiful and palpable. You're not beating yourself up, but you're also doing the work. So, okay, that leads us now to our final prompt, which is, our second to last, relational, a deck that aids relational reflections and pivots. So again, this is the third Alana Fairchild in this poll today. Sorry, that's just how I'm feeling about it. Whenever I am struggling with romantic relationship, or I want to say like chosen family relationship issues with friends, really close friends, this is the deck that I go to, the Rumi Oracle, an invitation into the heart of the divine. First of all, it's just freaking gorgeous. It's all my colors. It's the purples and the teals and the aquas. I love that there's a little bit of gold on here. This is also a blue angel. And the artwork is by Rasuli. And if you've ever experienced any Rasuli artwork, there's just something very divine and spiritual about it. Once again, we've got a very solid, thick guidebook. What I love about this is she gives an excerpt of quotes from Rumi. Then she does her channeled messaging, and then she does, sort of the deep dive messaging, and then you get a ritual or a meditation to do on the other side of it. So, again, a masterclass in all of this. And in terms of relations and our relational components, like Passion of the Wild Red Mother, this deck you can definitely read intuitively if you're so inclined. Sorry, I'm just going to switch this up. If you're so inclined, you can absolutely read it intuitively. And there also is great wisdom in the guidebook. The imagery is stunning. The colors resonate. So like you read the Rumi, you feel the color on it. You're getting all sorts of things. I feel that this serves to actually like shift your energetic state. Even when you're just tapping into the guidance, like to find out what is the issue or what's the best way to approach this, there's already healing and shifting that's occurring just by interacting with the cards and the images. This is definitely a deck that you could meditate on the card with. Passion for Purpose, Sacred Convergence, Blood Angel. Some of these images have been sort of reused, but like doctored from her Journey of Love Oracle deck. Sacred Union. Just beautiful imagery. The Human Gift. Let's just kind of take a look and see. I'll read a little snippet for you guys. Not the whole thing, but a little snippet so you can get a feel for it. So here's the Rumi component. O heart, what is your excuse for all these blunders? Such loyalty is offered by the beloved, yet so much treason comes from you. Such kindness is offered by the beloved, yet so much defiance and resistance comes from you. Such grace is offered by the beloved, yet so much fault and failure comes from you. Such attraction is offered by the beloved, with sweetness and generosity, yet such jealousy comes from you, with so much doubt and suspicion. So, like even just reading Rumi's take on it, it just really gives you a lot. Like, wake up. You're in a human body having a human experience. This is a gift. Why are you moping? Why are you wallowing? Why are you, crying over spilled milk? Let's put some priority to it and let's see if we can see the gift in all of it, beyond the threshold of fear. Just the imagery is gorgeous. Blessing of Al-Hakim. You who show the way. 33, the way shower. Divine discontent. We'll read her little channeled thing on this so you can get an idea of that as well. Of course, I picked a long one. I'm sorry. I'll read fast. I know your heart. I hear it breaking and groaning in darkest night when you imagine yourself to be silently cast adrift in sleep. It speaks to me, that sacred heart of yours, whispering its longing and bemoaning its divine discontent. It knows when something is amiss. It senses that something is not quite right as yet. There is a piece of the puzzle missing, even in its tremendous gratitude for all that is, and there is much gratitude and sweet appreciation in that precious heart of yours. There is a murmuring, a questing. It cries out to heaven, vouchsafe me a blessing. I cannot go on. I am broken and in need of your tenderness for healing. I am empty and in need of filling, not with stuff and bits, but with the most precious nectar of divine fulfillment. Nothing else will satisfy me. Please, please restore me to wholeness. I can bear this missing piece, this broken disarray no longer. I listen and I cajole that wise heart of yours. I praise it for its honesty and longing, and for the longing is an irresistible perfume to the beloved. it attracting the only salve that will soothe the divine discontent of your truth-speaking heart, that of divine presence, absolute and unquestionable. So it really addresses those moments when we are angry with the universe, when we are angry with source and not understanding, why is this happening? Why is this happening now? Why are we fighting? Why are we not able to, come to a peaceful resolution, a happy medium? Why is this all happening? This deck really gives some beautiful messaging. I want to say it hits you right in the kisser too. Like you can't avoid it. You can't unsee it, right? It's very, very powerful. And this is the final prompt. This is the spiritual, a deck that has guided transformation and shifts. And we have the Soul Sparkle Tarot. And once again, another Alana Fairchild deck. And this is the Crystal Mandala Oracle. So if I am going to recommend something right now, I've showed this on my channel a number of times now, the Soul Sparkle Tarot. I just love this deck. It's new to me. It speaks the song of my soul for sure. And I would recommend this to anyone simply because it's got a really nice guidebook here. Simply because it is very accessible. It is gorgeous. It is based on the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot, but it also, I want to say, has a really great handle on its own story and what it is trying to express to you. We're going to start with some different images here. Queen of Pentacles. We have this beautiful gilding. I got this on Etsy. Everything is gilded. There are these beautiful shining moments, shining figures. This Queen of Pentacles, yes, she's in abundance, but she's focused on her coin. And that's kind of interesting. It kind of gives a little bit of maybe she's too focused on the coin. Maybe she's over-focused on the coin. Maybe she needs to draw her attention elsewhere. Maybe she's a little bit bored with it. Five of Cups. I love this image because when we're talking about that spiritual, this is the card of grief. Okay, I'm feeling the loss. I'm feeling the grief. My heart is hurting. I feel tender. Normally what you see is a person who's not paying attention to the surroundings. Here she is sitting on a floating suitcase. Clearly there's been a disaster, but she is facing the castle. And even though she is looking off to the side, she knows that is ultimately where she's heading. She's not focused on all the lost cups. She's actually taking a moment to grieve at the same time that she's allowing the waters to take her to where it is that she wants to go. She knows that there's a change and a shift. She's bummed out about it, no doubt. She's just storing up her resources and her reserves so that she can move on to the next. Eight of Cups. This is a very relatable way to explain what it means to leave things behind and walk into something new. And here we see the sun and the moon together. So it indicates that as you are ascending the staircase, and it's not just a simple ascension, you are doing a little bit of a zigzag and a jig-jag. You are going into something that is going to bring you into wholeness. Understanding the sun and the moon, the light and the dark, the divine masculine and divine feminine on your path and within you. This is the ascension journey. Nine of Wands. So we don't see here necessarily defense, but what we do see here is he's still evaluating the area. He's not feeling fully comfortable yet with this area. He's just recently moved. He's put all of the work in. He's wounded. He's definitely in a space of being ready to recover, wanting to rest, not necessarily feeling if he can or not. Still ready to defend himself. And I feel here like he is safe. He's just in a place that he doesn't know yet. And so it's going to take a while to build that trust. 10 of Cups. I love this. I feel like spirit is speaking to me. Follow the yellow brick road, right? The yellow brick road, following it up It's full of cups. It's full of emotion. It's full of the psychic realm. It's full of that intuition. And you can have it. You can have it if you choose it. The Empress. I love that she's looking up here. There's like this portal of energy behind her. She's in a wheat field, but it almost feels to me here like she is ready to create something new. She's ready to bring some green into the mix, something new that is coming in. Page of Wands. You definitely feel here he's very dapper. You feel here that he is ready for a new journey. He's ready to do something a little bit different. And he's excited about it. And because he's dapper, I feel like, he's a bit charismatic. People are going to take notice of him. The Magician. A nod to the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, but you've got all of this shininess coming up. And, he is, I want to say his imagery is expected, but in the background, there's this, I want to say, almost like a fantasy feeling, like you're in between dimensions. The Moon. So we have like the man in the moon is the sort of humanesque energy, and the rest are the animals, the creatures that are in here. We'll do a couple more. The Emperor. He looks like a happy emperor. Someone that I feel, sort of comfortable connecting with. Again, another portal. He's creating something new, but it is behind him. Four of Pentacles. I love that it's like buildings upside down as well as right side up. The Sun. So again, a nod to the RWS, but it's got a bit of an ethereal quality to it because of the artwork. Nine of Pentacles. She just looks so happy sitting up in that tree. She's higher up. She has ascended to a bit of a different plane, but she is, some of her is in the sky and some of her is on the earth. She's learning the game. She's walking the game of life. And here's the Justice card. As above, so below, connecting a lot of that energy. So this deck really does speak to my soul, but it is a spiritual, I feel that it is, the as above, so below. So anyone who is doing a spiritual deep dive and enjoys exploring their spirituality through tarot, I feel that this would be a great deck to explore. And then the final one is the Oracle. I chose this one here because I do recommend it, so much so, especially if you are on a spiritual journey, because you get to learn about archangels, you get to learn about ascended masters and goddesses, and you're learning about chakra energy and crystals. Like this deck incorporates so much. It's also a Blue Angel. Again, the Alana Fairchild format. She has keywords, and then she has like a little channeled thing, a novel, and then a healing practice. Blue Angel, big cards, a little bit shiny, decent card stock. I've had this for years and they're still in really great shape. I don't like the shiny, but it is what it is. So let's take a look. Goddess Isis and Isis Crystal. She shall always prevail. Crystal Goddesses 888. So here we have 333s, 444s, and 888s in the as sections of these cards. And so it talks about this is mastery, this is abundance. The 444 is like foundational energies. And so you have different goddesses and gods and whatever that are connected to that, angels that are connected to that. Then you've got the 333, the ascended master energy. So you're seeing a lot of ascended masters. You get a lot out of the imagery of these cards, but you also get a great deal of information from the book. These cards I do read intuitively simply because karmic grace. I actually love these cards to sort of wet the palate or prime the pump when I am going to do a general channeling for, channeling. And I don't know who I'm going to channel or how that's all going to play out. I'll pull a card and that'll get things going. Goddess Kali. So we've got another, she's given us another nod. Black Obsidian, Sacred Revolution. Again, that's an 888. Here's a Crystal Angels 444. Angel Balthiel and Rose Quartz, Heart Healing. So from a spiritual perspective, there's so much to learn with these decks. You can, or with these cards, Goddess Matangi and Heliotrope. Already there is value. You're going to get a lot through the sigil. You're going to get a lot through the crystal itself. You're learning about the crystal. You're learning about the goddess that's connected to it. I mean, there's just so much here, truly so much that is available. Spiritual connection, Ascended Master Saint Germain and Amethyst, Crystal Masters 333. We'll just do a couple more here. Ascended Master Hilarion and Green Chrysoprase, Discernment, Crystal Masters 333. So this is just a great deck for anyone who is really on that spiritual path, that spiritual journey, and really open to learning, going a little bit deeper, learning all about various different aspects of the metaphysical world and seeing what really works and what doesn't. Safe to be seen, Archangel Gabriel and Turquoise, Crystal Angels 444. So yeah, that is, oh my goodness, that is day 4 of the 5 VRs in 5 days. Thank you so much, especially this is a really long video. If you're still here at the end, oh my God, I so appreciate you. I hope you really enjoyed this. I loved this. This was a challenge that I was really looking forward to when I saw the pivotal decks, because, you know, I think this is why in this community we love these interesting pieces of paper that we obsess about, because they open up a whole world for us, a world within ourselves, and a world that we can share in various different ways. And whether you practice tarot and oracle just for yourself, and it is a very personal, private practice, or whether you do it kind of like me, where you're, reading for the world kind of thing, or anything in between. It's a powerful, powerful process. And we are all being shifted and changed and transformed through our practice. So I just encourage all of you to continue that transformational journey. We're always in a state of transformation. We might as well make it fun, right? All right, guys. So I will see you tomorrow for the 5th video of 5 of this 5 VRs in 5 days. And until then, have the most amazing day, and we will see you on the flip side. Transform well. That's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. It was great to connect with you guys. Please like, subscribe, and comment for more content like this. And feel free to follow me on Blue Sky for even more content every single day. Can't wait to see you guys next week for another installment of Black Feather Couture, Divining the VIP Life.